Thank you, Bernie. And Bernie didn't tell you all the truth because he did get his fair share of penalties. I was asked to do a presentation on mentorship, and that's so you heard mentorship mentioned earlier today by Corey and by Ryan, and it's a theme that's working its way through the hockey program as well as many other programs. So it's a passion of mine, and it's been a passion of mine for a long time. And basically it comes down to helping others to reach their potential. And that's what I'd like to do. So officials more than ever need that support on the ice. And they cannot get it from going to their clinic for 4 hours at the beginning of the season or taking the Hockey University online program, although that's helped a bit because they can go back and access that throughout the year and reinforce some of the skills that it teaches. So that's one of the benefits of the Hockey University, although it doesn't go as far as we were led it to believe that it was going to go when Hockey Canada first started that program. It was supposed to be expanded to other levels of the officiating world, and I guess that'll come. Again, it comes down to putting the resources to it. But a mentor can do this. A mentor can offer that support, teach them the skills they need to be better officials, give them the moral support they need when they're out there reffing the game, answering those tough questions for them. These terms are sometimes used synonymously, and that supervision versus mentorship. How many of you have been involved in situations where you've been supervised? Maybe not even in hockey, somewhere else, out of hockey, in life. Okay, we've been supervised. How many have been mentored? A good number, but a lot fewer. Okay, what would you suggest is the difference in purpose of supervising and or mentoring? Supervising. What's generally the purpose? Telling you what you're doing wrong or right. When is supervising used in hockey? When officials are moving up from one level to another of hockey, or they're going to a provincial or national tournament. And we have to select, as administrators, you want to select the best young officials that are going to represent you or that have proven themselves. So you use a supervision program. Now let's switch over to mentoring. Some of you said you've been mentored, either in hockey or outside of hockey. What's the purpose, the main purpose? Teaching, supporting, telling the person how to get better. Formal evaluation development tool for officials of skills and abilities. Formal supervisions generally are more appropriate to high performance and officials advancing. Whereas in mentorship, it's more informal. You approach it like a team. The team of officials that were on the ice, the mentor, and that. And again, it's giving advice, helping out, coaching, picking one or two things to work on for the next tournament. And if you're going to do that, either you or a partner will see those officials throughout the year. It's not a case of one or two times and gone. Good luck for the rest of the year type of thing. Why have a mentorship program? Because mainly your grassroots officials, your level 1s and 2s, are certainly in need of helping out, or needing the help, I'm sorry. And they need that support. They need that fact that there's somebody there that's got their back. Because when you go out on that ice, it's you against the world. But now you have a supporter with them. And we're going to talk about different kinds of programs a little further into the presentation. Offer support and advice to the novice officials. We've talked about that. Although the primary focus will be on officials, just getting started. Just starting their careers, it will also benefit them further down the road, because we have about, this is traditional throughout Canada, throughout Hockey Canada, as long as I've been involved, and that's quite a number of years, that we lose about 30 to 35% of our officiating staff every year. Okay, Manitoba, Hockey Manitoba, 1,600 to 1,700 officials. That means we lose about 400 to 500 referees turnover every year. The numbers stay the same, but there's 400 leave, about that same number come back in every year. Why? They don't get support, they get yelled at, the coaches do this, the excuses. We find we're losing a lot now when they become 16 and 17 years old, because they can get a better job a better paying job at McDonald's, not better paying, better hours at McDonald's or the gas station or wherever, and we pay better as a referee, but we don't have the hours. So it's a little more lucrative for them that way. But we have to keep those young officials. If we can get them over the hump, and they're here for a while, like our body here, right here, that if the officials here, then we've got it made, because they're over that hump. They want to stay. They want to continue usually. A successful program will ensure ongoing effective mentoring. Success breeds success. Of the recreational development high-performance officials who learn the necessary skills to become the teachers, the leaders in the organization. There's a number of you in this room who started out 10 years ago, 15 years ago as young officials, and now you're the leaders in the program. And that's where we've got to get that program, so that us old guys can leave, and we know it's going to continue on and keep being a successful, vibrant program. As a result, coaches, players, parents, and more important, the officials will all benefit from a successful mentoring program. All the partners in the game benefit, and officials leave the rink with, thank you very much. Officials leave the rink with a job accomplished and a positive attitude. If they can go out on the ice and have good results from the game and walk out of there, even though they might have made a mistake, even though they might have a couple of things to work on, but they're happy, their mentor's happy, and they feel that they've accomplished the job that they wanted to do that game, then success, and they'll be back next week ready to go again. Or hopefully they'll go and work on something during the week and say, I'm not going to make that mistake again. We can fix that up. Some definitions. The mentor is a trusted, respected, experienced advisor who encourages and inspires the acquisition of knowledge, skill, wisdom, and developing a mentoree. Sounds like a lot of characteristics that you need, but really it's no different than any of you going out, and you're more experienced than the young officials. You're respected. You're a leader in the community as being a referee in chief or a hockey program administrator, and you're a teacher. You're a teacher because you're working with the young official, helping them get better. So that brings with it a little different attitude in your approach. The mentoree, the person being mentored. The key word here is receptive. I think we have seen, fortunately or unfortunately, I guess you'd say, officials who go out on the ice, do their game, and for the first 10 minutes they're enthused, and for the last 40 or 50 minutes they're saying, let's get this game going, I gotta get on, I gotta get out of here. That's not the official we want. We want the official that wants to learn and get better, and hopefully as working with them we can encourage that attitude, but they have to have the receptive attitude, being open to the guidance that you are giving them, and we'll talk about that. Mentoring is a collaborative process. Collaboration between the mentors, the referee-in-chief, and the official. The assigners involved too. The mentoree is being guided in the acquisition and development of knowledge, skill, and wisdom from the trusted person that is working with them. The benefits of the program: provides the officials with required skills, knowledge, and support to promote and sustain higher levels of performance within the officiating field. It's a team approach. The mentor and his or her officials. And hopefully, if it's set up in your community, it will become a team approach where it continues on throughout the year. And depending on the number of mentors you have and the number of young officials you're working with, that your team can, they can build a rapport with each other. If you have any questions along the way, please feel free to ask. Program delivery, the responsibilities of the team. The team, as I said, consists of the coordinator, the assigner, the mentor, and the mentoree. And there's others, the referee-in-chief and other senior officials involved. The coordinator and assigner recruits, trains, and trains the appropriate mentors. Has a good working knowledge of your young officials and the potential of the mentorees. So you're going to try to match up. Not everybody gets along with different people, but so you try and match them up so they will work together. Communicates the program to all the parties. Association members, the mentors, the mentorees, coaches, and parents. And when Ryan mentioned that in 2002 he was involved with the Hockey Canada development of the entire mentorship program, well, at that time, letters or templates were developed for handing out to the coaches, let them know what the program is and why we were doing certain things in the rink. A letter of introduction to the parents and let them know what was going on in the rink, especially under the shadow program when they were having a third official on the ice. And then the coordinator and assigner is involved in matching up and assigning the mentors and mentorees to the games. That takes a little bit of work, especially when you have mentors who, or even referees, who aren't available at all times, and is nothing more frustrating for the mentor to go out and find out the young officials he's supposed to be working with have switched games or booked off or whatever. So this is communication. Lines of communication have to be important, and that email and text help in that bit. But okay. The mentor will be expected to draw upon their experience to offer guidance and encouragement to the developing official. Some of the areas they may address or in the process include the importance of quality officiating for the athletes and the game. Just instilling in the referee how important their job is to the outcome of the game. More than lacing on a pair of skates and having a whistle. The officiating process. What is competent officiating? Values and attitudes that show respect for the athletes and sports as an institution, and the sport as an institution. Life skills. Their approach to the game. How they look, their deportment. How they dress when they walk into the rink. It's all important. If you walk into any rink and 2 or 3 young men or young ladies walk into the rink and they got a bag and they're nicely dressed and that, you've just created a very positive attitude. Where on the other hand, you walk in with tattered jeans and a ball cap and a club jacket, the whole attitude that the parents and the coaches and everybody has of that group of 2 or 3 people, be the officials, changes. So it's life skills on and off the ice. A framework to assist the mentoree to become critically reflective and make enlightened decisions. So in your debriefing with them, you talk about situations and that. How could you handle it better? Did you like the way the results were because you made that? Could you have changed your mannerism in how you dealt with the official and how you spoke when you, and get them thinking, and eventually you ask the right questions, you'll get them around to the way you want them to think and the way you want them to develop. A blend of information on the art and science of officiating. So you're talking to them about the different way to do their procedures. The might even come down to rules, the interpretation of the rules and that. The human dimension of officiating, especially important when you're dealing with coaches. How you deal with them. When I was on the ice, I made a habit of addressing players and coaches by sir. I could meet them at the beginning of the game, and if they told me their name was Mr. Smith and Mr. Jones, 10 minutes into the game, I might, because you aren't, at the minor hockey level especially, you aren't doing those teams very often. At the older levels, you see them 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times a year. So that's a little different there. But if I called them sir or coach, whatever, I knew I could never make a mistake. I knew I wouldn't say, hey, you, or hey, coach. You got to treat them the way you want to be treated. And if we can instill that into the young referees, the human dimension of officiating, just the level goes right up. And then their goals. If you're a mentor, you should talk to the young officials about their goals. Where do you want to go with this? I used to do my clinics at the level 2, 16 years old and up. I'd start off the clinic by having everybody introduce themselves and why are you here? What's your goals? And if I may, Ryan, I did Ryan's level 2 clinic. First year he was level 2, 16 years old. And he stood up in the room and told us about how many years he had officiating. And his goal was to referee the Winnipeg Jets. And that was Jets number 1. And then when they left, he figured his goal was gone. Couldn't make it. But immediately going back to the classroom that day, other kids in the room said, yeah, right. They aren't saying, yeah, right now. Huh? So you can have long-term goals, but we want to work on short-term goals. What do you want to accomplish this year? What do you want to accomplish this month? So as mentors, this is part of coaching. This is teaching life skills. And if they start planning for hockey, for refereeing where they want to go, they'll do the same in school. And I can guarantee you that the teachers are working on goal planning in school and in their courses and things like that. So it's a life skill. Mentors, it's also imperative that at all times the mentor provide a constructive and positive feedback. Ryan talked about the supervisor coming into the dressing room and kicking the garbage can and that. I was there when they did that. John was there when they did that. And that, did it get anywhere? No. We'd walk out afterwards and laugh. What good did he do? I hope he hurt his toe. You know? But seriously, if you go in and you say, okay, here's what happened in the game. How could we do that better? Well, you know, if you brush up on your procedure and you could find that procedure here on such and such a page or on the website or whatever, you're pointing out, you're directing them where to get that information. You're giving them constructive and positive feedback because you are, first of all, pointing out where the improvement has to be or should be, and you're giving them the positive of saying, here's how you can fix it. When you make your notes on your form that you're going to give them for feedback, you should have those suggestions noted on there. That's important. Coming from the teaching world, I found it very, even with parent-teacher interviews and things like that, you talk about a situation. In the first few years I was teaching, you talk about a few situations and that about where their student could improve. And the parents would go out and you'd talk, you know, you'd phone them up a month later and said, we talked about this. Yeah, I know, but I walked out of there and I wasn't sure I just generally had the points, but I wasn't quite sure on what we had decided. And lesson point 1, memory, make notes. So if I had a difficult interview and we laid out an action plan, I would lay out the action plan on paper for them and, as discussed in our interview, and send it to them. Well, this is the same thing, except we're giving immediate feedback and that. So our goal is to give them a plan, what you need fixing on by next game or by, and how to get there. Positive, constructive feedback. Young, inexperienced officials need to work in an environment that allows them to make mistakes. We actually grow and become better by making mistakes and having the correct solutions pointed out to us, and then encouraging them to work on those to make them better. Ensure that the mentors you select to participate in this program will bring the right attitude and mindset to their position. So if you have new mentors and you're working with them, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, do you mind if I sit in on your debriefing today, and just seeing how they handle it, because they're learning too. And the third party group in this system is the mentoree. Someone who has a desire and a commitment and initiative to expand and develop his or her expertise, career goals by listening to, learning from, and working with a trusted advisor and counselor. If you were in the other room, you heard the lady who was addressing, asking a question of Ryan, I should say, how he could, her son could, what he could do to get better as an official. As soon as I heard that question, my ears went up. Where are they from? Who do we know in that area that can help them? And things like that. So that's what we're looking for. Somebody who's expressed that desire. I'm gonna latch onto them and see where they want to go. How can we make them better? They're the ones that we want to help. Not that we don't want to help the others, but they're the ones that we really want to work with, because they're receptive to what's going on. And quite possibly, when they're receptive like that, their friends will be dragged along with them. The mentoree is an official who wants to learn. We've talked about that. His on-ice skills and the knowledge of the game, including the rules and the rule interpretations. Again, we're back to dedication toward improving current knowledge and competency levels. They want to make themselves better. You want to encourage them to get better and more familiar with the rules. I'll give you one little story. I was doing a clinic. I was out in Eastman at the time, and it doesn't matter, it happens all over. But I watched participants, and this one particular table was chatting, not being interruptive during the clinic, but not really paying close attention. And we've all seen it when we're in the clinics. And you'd speak to them and you'd let them go, but they'd just keep going. And as I said, they weren't being disruptive, so we just went over top of them, taught over top of them. Anyway, at the end, this one guy, young fella, his level 2 clinic, 16, 17, comes up and says, ask him what his mark was. We marked his paper. He looked at it, and he says, yeah, I got 72. Well, level 2, pass mark 70. He passed. I passed. And he was really proud of it. And I said, called him by name, and I said, Do you know that I think that you could have done a lot better? Well, I passed. How do you figure I could have done better? Well, first of all, you weren't paying total attention, and this was between him and me. You weren't paying total attention, and I think if you had have been, you would have got some of these questions right, because we went over them in the clinic. And he said, well, I passed. I'm certified, I can referee. I said, do you play hockey? He said, yes. I play midget hockey. I said, do you want some official ref in your game that makes 28 mistakes in the game, figuring there's 100 calls in the game? You made 28 mistakes? No, that's not very good. I want him to know, call all the rules right and make all the calls right. I said, but that's you. You missed 28 points on the exam. He says, I never thought of it that way. And it doesn't really correlate that way, but that's an example where, 100% is perfect and on the questions that were asked, and he missed 28 marks. So we got to encourage them to get into those rule books and know them. And when there's a mistake on the ice or a mistake with rule interpretation, as a mentor, take time, look it up, go over it together. Where did they make the mistake? We're coaching them. We're coaching them. The mentoree's responsibilities are taking initiative in his own development, his or her own development, and actively participating in the mentoring relationship. The team, they're members of the team. Taking full advantage of the training and assistance offered. Hopefully, because they're a team, if they get home and they're reviewing something and they have a question, they could contact their mentor by email or text or picking up the phone and talking to him or her. They need a willingness to accept and follow through on the mentor's advice. If they aren't going to buy in, then the mentor's wasting their time too. And that's when, as a mentor, I would suggest that they'd phone back to the referee-in-chief and they'd say, hey, we just aren't clicking. I'm not clicking with Billy. Maybe someone else wants to try and see how things work out, but I don't think I'm the right person for him because we can't develop that relationship that I think we need. We aren't going to be successful with everybody. We have to respect the rules of confidentiality. We cannot go outside the room, the ref's room, our little meeting room, wherever you meet. We cannot go outside the room and sit down in the stands and talk to fans about telling that guy the last game, you did the last game, da-da-da-da-da. We cannot go and sit down with other officials. I told so-and-so to do this and this, and we'll see next time. We can't do that. We have to have that air of confidentiality between the mentor and the mentoree and whoever the referee-in-chief is, because they would, or the coordinator, because they would get a copy of the report too. It just can't become general knowledge. Developing and utilizing the skill of ethical and professional conduct. We have to be the role model. The mentor has to be the role model. just like senior officials should be the role model. Progress has to be by all the team members involved. Any questions on that? Because I'd like to get into different forms of mentorship now. Any questions up to now? How do you recruit mentors? I would say within our areas, we're all very familiar with 2 or 3 or 4 or maybe more of our peers, very experienced officials, who would help out. And some people can say, well, no, I don't want it, you know, I'm busy and I want my Saturdays to myself and things like that. And you turn it around and say, can you give us two 2-hour periods a week? Sorry, 2 2-hour periods a month. And I'm assuming 1-hour games, especially in the city. In the rural area, it might be a 2-hour game or 2.5-hour game, so that would be a full game. So that's juggling the time frame a bit. But if they could give up 1 or 2 mornings or 1 or 2 afternoons or a morning and an evening or whatever, a month, to help out with the program, you have a mentor or a person, a potential mentor. And these are just your friends, 4 or 5 people that are involved. So if they worked with 2 or 3 officials or more in that time frame, there you've got 10 or 15 officials mentored in that month. You get a 3rd or 4th or a 5th or 6th person involved when they find out, oh, well, this isn't that onerous. This isn't that time, big time commitment. I could help out a 3rd time. Or you've developed a little rapport with the 2 or 3 people you're working with, and they phone you up, the mentoree phones you up, the referee phones you up and said, I'm working a game over at such and such a rink or down at the club this Saturday. Could you come out and take a look at me and see if I've improved on what you, or I'm having trouble doing this and doing this, could you help me out? So the pressure becomes bottom up and top down. And I shouldn't use the word pressure, but the influence. So does that answer the question, that question? Okay, what was the second part again? Education, conversation, ensuring that we're all giving the same message on procedures, and therefore one of the resources you have in your package is the standards criteria and that. So, and we'll touch on that and why it's there and how to use it. So if we get out the proper information, and in conjunction with Esther and Hockey Manitoba, we're uploading, or they're uploading, all the resources we can find to the website, and I'll show you that, and you have it in your package, the Hockey Manitoba officials resource website. And that we're uploading all the information there so it can be downloaded. One of the programs that is going to be reintroduced is the Shadow program. And I say reintroduced because it was quite active in the late 90s and early 2000s in a few areas of the province. And then it died out for 1 or 2 reasons or more. And that, but it is effective. So Hockey Manitoba and that have decided, and the officials development would like to reincorporate that through And we'll give you a brief summary of it. Very effective supporting program. It involves the two young officials working, say, a two-man system game, and having a third person on the ice. They're a certified official. Therefore, they're all insured. They come under the insurance and everything. In some areas, that person is dressed in their full referee outfit. In other areas, they have most of their padding on and everything, and with a black jacket, an association jacket, wearing that. Have to wear their helmet because of insurance. And they're the coach. They're the coach. They're coaching right on the ice, just like the coach on the bench is coaching his players when they come up. Okay? At the pregame meeting, the shadow and the officials would discuss what's going to happen on the ice. After one or two times on the ice, it becomes second hat to them. And the shadow becomes another body who whispers in the official's ear at the stoppages or is skating behind them as they're skating the icing or the quick play break, and he's skating behind that back official. Come on, where are you supposed to be? Get up to that blue line. Let's go. And get him to hustle and get up there. It's like a constant conscience in your mind. So you're reinforcing continually. The shadow would go and meet with the coaches. Explain to them what's going on, that you're the coach. That basically you aren't calling penalties. They're calling their penalties. You aren't even coaching them on the penalties unless there's a safety issue. And make sure that the mentor, the shadow, says that unless there's a safety issue. Because the goal of our job is to have the game played safely. So the shadow coaches them as they skate on the ice. What do? They check the nets. They count the players. Make sure the players on the ice match up, the number of players on the ice match up with the number of players on the game sheet. You've solved that problem. In more players than are listed, or where are all the other players? That you have 20 players listed, but there's only 15 on the ice. Where are the others? Are they coming? Are they late? What's happening? Make sure you're aware of what's going on. So you're doing it with you're teaching the young officials the skills. You do the fair play procedure with them. In other words, you're reinforcing the proper procedures. During the game, the shadow monitors and works with the officials as needed. The shadow, he or she, sees some things that could be corrected very easy, procedures mainly. So at the stoppage of play, you sidle up to that young official and saying, hey, next time the play's down in the corner and it's going to the net, you're hanging back. I've noticed you're hanging back in the corner. Where should you be when the play is going to the net? Should be at half piston or going to the net also. Yeah, well, get out there. Better viewpoint. So you reminded him right there, a minute or two after it happened, instead of an hour later at the end of the game. A very effective program. Post-game, you debrief with them the few things that they could work on, a few things that you talked about in that game. The shadow would the mentor would make some notes on a supervision form or a mentorship form. Give them a copy, and he keeps a copy. And when you do that, here's what we talked about. Here's what I want you to work on for next game. Do you know what we're looking at? So you're debriefing, having them reinforce to you. Immediate coaching. Then there's a traditional method where the mentor is not on the ice. He would meet with the officials beforehand, let them know that he's in the rink, and this is what last game we saw this and this. You're going to work. What are you going to work on today? And get them to identify some items that they want to work on. Shadow would make the notes, complete the mentorship program. Also, I would suggest that they go to the coaches and tell the coaches that you're in the rink. Even at the MJHL level, they encourage the supervisors to go to the coaches and let them know you're in the rink, working with the officials. What does that do to the attitude of the coaching team when you let them know that you're in the rink working with the referees? Now, I've seen it where sometimes the off-ice mentor, especially at the younger level kids, is standing in the penalty box. Sometimes not as ideal a vantage point, but it's the advantage that you can talk to the referees at the end of the period, especially in games where they go back-to-back periods, and then they flood at the end of the second, or maybe they go for the whole hour and don't flood. So you get 2 minutes or 3 minutes to do some procedural correcting there by watching them do that. So it's got advantages, got disadvantages. So that's a variation to this method. After the game, you debrief the officials. You'll have your notes written, or take a few minutes, write them up while they're getting undressed, give it to them before they leave to go home. So they have immediate feedback. And the forms that are in the sample forms that are in your pamphlet are in duplicate, pressed through. A program that we did when this first came in was working with 3 or 4 officials at a time, mainly in preseason games or exhibition games. But the coaches began to like it so much that we even put it into beginning of the season regular games. And that was, it's a two official game, but you have 4 officials working the game. 2 would be in the penalty box with the mentor for half a period. And while they're making notes about their teammates on the ice and things like that, they're listening. You're talking it, the mentor is talking it out. So the 2 young officials that are with him in the box are listening about hustling to get the blue line, doing this, doing that, come on, get out of the corner, move out to the net. That kind of thing. So you're reinforcing in their mind what they should be doing. Halfway through the period, the stoppage, they'll switch. 2 guys come in, 2 new guys go out. So you're hitting 4 people in the matter of a game. As I said, we started this off in preseason exhibition games. But the coaches liked it so much that they said, hey, we don't mind, because they saw the progress. So it's doing whatever works. This is a program that came to light, first used in Flin Flon minor hockey. Harvey Bolton, the former referee-in-chief of Hockey Manitoba, initiated this with his officiating program in Flin Flon. It's a radio headset. It's usually beneficial when you're teaching young officials to referee for the first time 3-man system. because you're communicating with one official. Mentors in the stands, they have a transmitter. A referee has a receiver. It's just an earpiece. If you're going to go to that system, you have to tell the coaches that the referee is wearing a microphone, a receiver microphone, because depending on what the setting is on the master control that the supervisor has, it can be a transmitter and a receiver, or it can just be a receiver as far as the referee is concerned. Where would you use that? When you have a little jackrabbit for a referee that follows the puck, and his nose is tied to the puck, and if the puck moves there, he moves within 20 feet of it. If the puck goes up to the blue line, he's starting to skate out. He's up at the top of the circles, but all of a sudden he gets turned around, so he's going back and forth, things like that. You can just talk to him. Just stay there. Hold it. And then it goes out of the play, go. So he gets the idea, immediate reinforcement on that kind of thing. You aren't talking penalties. As mentors, we don't coach penalties during the game. You can coach them after the game on rule interpretation and why this should have been called, or that should have been called, or that shouldn't have been called. We had reports on officials accused of using inappropriate verbiage in their discussions with coaches and players. Using a system like this, we found out it wasn't factual at all, because the supervisor could listen to everything that was being said. It wasn't that case at all. And yet every time we addressed it, they'd say, well, what do you know? Well, we do know now because we were monitoring all the conversations. So there's different methods and reasons for using this, but it is available. This is in your resource package. You have the standards criteria for the two-man system, the referees, the linesmen. You have a synopsis of the shadow program, and you have some mentorship forms. This sheet is a synopsis form of about 2 or 3 chapters of the former Hockey Canada officiating program manual, which is not in existence, and they're looking for a better way to present it, a more feasible electronic way to present it. But for the older referees in the room here, we used to buy a binder about this thick, and the Hockey Canada officiating program manual, and that would give you an outline on everything. Well, a few people took this, put it together here, put the standards in, and this is up to date with the standards and procedures that are being used in Hockey Canada today. And the different skill level down the left-hand side, areas where our goal is to have them in meet standard or exceed standard. So when you're evaluating or mentoring an official, if they show up, their procedures on the ice show up in needs improvement, there should be a written suggestion on how to improve that and what needs to be addressed. If there are procedures or standards, as it shows up in the exceed standards, what is the accepted standard? then that should be noted too. Give them a pat in the back where it's due, where it's been earned. Now, how do you use this? You can have it right there and you can refer to it. But if I'm sitting there watching a hockey game and writing at the same time and making notes, you miss something. Inevitably, you'd miss something. And that's when something happens on the ice that you really want to see. So what I would do, and have done, it's all laminated here for a reason. You can take washable felt pens, 2 colors, say a blue and a green one. Put the ref's name at the top, put it in blue, put the ref's name at the top in the other color, green or red or whatever. And then as you see something that they did really well on, put it in. If you see something that they need improving on, you just mark the sheet here with a dot. Put a dot right on the sheet. So then when you go and debrief, you know who you're talking about and the points that have to be addressed. Make your notes from it, wipe it off, reuse it. It's quick, it's easy, and you've got all the criteria right here. For the 2-man system, for a referee in the 3-man system, and for the linesman. 3 different sheets. If you have any questions as you go home or want to get a program developed or starting to develop in your area and you need some help, feel free to send me an email or pick up the phone and phone me. And I think my contact information is still on the Hockey Manitoba website. And if not, Esther has it, and you'll have her contact information. And I'd be happy to help you out. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ian. On behalf of Hockey Manitoba, I'd certainly like to thank you for providing us with this information and a small gift for your time and efforts. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. I'll just say one thing before I send you off for lunch. Our organization's, I think, at a bit of a crossroads. These are the types of things that we really need to start doing. You know, we have programs for all of our, and I don't know if anyone was at the presentations last night, but, you know, I mentioned when I first started our organization how small we were and how much we've grown. I feel that it's not just players and coaches that I'm talking about, it's our officials program as well. So these are the types of things we really need to start to reinforce with our young officials. We need to support them. And to Dan's question earlier that Ryan was talking about, the majority of our officials are young. You know, we have 50 or 60 high performance officials or high level officials in our organization. We have 1,700 officials. So the majority of our officials that we work with are very young people that need our help and support. It's not so much about positioning. It's the same thing I talked about with our initiation program and our face-off program and Kyle's comments yesterday. It's the skills of the game are important, certainly to teach coaches and to teach children, but it's more than that. It's the education of everybody involved. So we really need to, we're really in support of this program from a Hockey Manitoba standpoint. The advantage we have is that Tony Franklin, our VP of officials, is a current official. His dad, Brian, was a level 5 official. The branch president of our organization, Bill Whitehead, was a former level 5 official. So we have a lot of support for our officials program, and anything we try to come up with to support our young officials is certainly supported by our branch. So if there are any comments or questions, please, we're trying to get into the, there was a comment yesterday about young people, and Mel's comment is a true one. They don't respond to emails. 13-year-olds respond to texts. So these are the types of things we have to make sure that we're going to do. One of the things we're working on for next weekend is we have a Steva program that we used in our provincial team program to cut video. And the video coach marks offensive zone face-offs, whatever it is. We're going to do the same thing with our games for officials. And we're going to mark those offensive zone face-offs. We're going to mark different positioning for our young officials and be able to give them video feedback right after the game. So it's one thing to talk to them certainly about stuff that's happened, but I think it'll be a real good benefit, especially for visual learners, to be able to show them after over and over again, and they can view it on their own. We're going to have this presentation up on our website eventually through the video opportunities. We'll have the PowerPoint available as well. So please, if you have questions, Esther in our office is a great resource, and certainly if you ever have questions for me, I'm available as well. Yeah, Ryan, you have something? Yeah, I've been real lucky. I was involved in the inception of the Coach Mentor program in 1999, and been involved with Bob Caldwell. I'm not sure if you heard his name a couple times mentioned here, but he's our master mentor coach in our province, and I've been working with Bob ever since that time. It's we've been really lucky and fortunate to have Bob in our organization that works with our coaches and mentors our coaches. There are a lot of similarities, but I think the one thing I find with our officials mentoring is that coaches are required to be 16 years of age and older. So people that are looking for mentoring in the coaching program that we're involved in are a little bit older, where the people in the officiating program are dealing with young kids. And the majority of our officials are 16 years of age and younger. So it's the same, Ryan, I think, but it's got its own unique challenges in how you deal with young kids, how they learn as they grow. And you mentioned in your presentation, as well as other people, there are no practices for officials. The first time they get on the ice is during a game, with kids who have practiced or have gone to hockey schools, coaches who have gone to clinics and have been coaching these teams for 3, 4, 7, 9, 10 practices, and even for the first exhibition game. And refs just step on the ice. So there are certainly some unique things that we have to challenges that we have to try to overcome to support young officials. I've had a few people ask me about, there are other provinces that run referee schools. So, if they're out there, then that's something we certainly have to look at as well. I know I've talked with Ian when he was the referee in chief about that, and I think that's probably something that we need to pursue as an organization. So, the last thing I'll say is, sorry, we're in a little bit tight for time. There are some great ideas, and what we're literally working on right now is putting together basically an extension of what Ian just presented about different types of ways to support young officials through mentoring, whether it's those types of ideas, other types of ideas, and that's something we're literally working on as we speak. So hopefully we're going to be able to provide that around the province to different. I know it's a challenge. It's a challenge to get volunteers, and the amount of people that are here is great this weekend. And people have mentioned through the weekend so far that we can't thank volunteers enough, but it is a tough thing.